let us shift to like our main topic for this season, which is like Minnesota, like the move to Minnesota. So what our goal is for these series of podcasts, as I think we've mentioned before, is to like make Minnesota like like just showcase Minnesota in a way that we have music. We are not like we're not really small in the sense that we don't like we're not. I mean, compared to Dallas and San Francisco, I mean obviously they're big, but
And Chicago. Yeah.
Minnesota has its own its own way for music. So we're as we're trying to shifting into that. Tell us how you came into Minnesota, like from India to Minnesota, how that move was, and your initial experience in Minnesota, having that new kind of coming into new society. So tell us about that.
Sure. So I just want to talk a little bit more in the 2000s that happened to me before I come to Minnesota. Just a recap, because a lot of things happened during the 2000s. So I mentioned about getting into concerts, right? So VDS Arts Academy mentioned my names to some of the sabas, and then I started getting sabah concerts. Things were going on. I was getting sabah concerts during the December season. So I used to be like looking at the diary and seeing, what my dates were for the December season, and a lot of prestige and stuff like that. I did play in many sabas, and then there was many things happening. But after finishing my college, there has to be a big decision that I have to take from taking music as a profession or not, right? And then how much time you're going to spend in terms of making music, and versus spending time in a IT company or whatever, right? I didn't know I was going to like. It was irony because 11th standard, my interest was so thick that I used to be a topper, or like a very good study guy in my school, but I dropped. I mean, I flunked 3 times in my monthly midterm test, and quarterly and halfly stuff. So like people were like looking at me like, what happened? Are you like into some kind of bad things? What happened? What's this difference about? So that's how it was. Into me, like the music was into me. I want to do something there, but I didn't know how to go forward because there was nothing directional that I could look at. And so when I came to almost end of college, where I used to perform and all that, college shows and all that, fusion, tried bits here and there. But then when that decision had to happen, I had to choose my career as to IT field, because when I was looking at concerts back then, getting 1,000 rupees for 30 days used to be big. So, but you need that money to earn a living. So it's not business, but it's kind of like a profession. So you have to weigh at your opportunities, and because there's no consistency in getting a concert, you are not sure that you will get concerts 30 days a month, right? So it was tough decision. So I had to take that decision and then move on. So my workplace used to be like 30 kilometers away from the city. So if I had a concert, I had to plan it so well that I had to maintain my office things, make sure that there's no escalation or a production issue at that time. I can't leave that and come, right? So a lot of things happened there. But then I also joined an association called as YACM, which is Youth Association for Classical Music. So that kind of had a lot of stepping stone into the music field, more into the music field for me, because that gave a lot of confidence in me. And then it made me to interact with a lot of musicians, big and small, good and bad, right? Everything. So it was more for me to know them more closely and personally. So I came to know about, let's say, Bombay Jayashree or Soumya, Sri Soumya, or many other artists. I mean, I cannot name everybody. Vijay Sivarna. So all of them it was so motivational for me to pursue music more and more. It gave me a lot of window to look at what are the opportunities, how much are they treating, and which you should. And I don't know. I listened to Vijay Sivarna's teaching once of singing of a song. It was, I think, Sarasa Samadana Vedadanda Chatura. So the way he explained the song to me looked so magical, right? And I didn't learn from him directly. I just heard it, but then it gave me a lot of insight of how passionate I should be to music, how loyal I should be to music. So that kind of drove a lot of things in me. And then I was the vice president of YACM at that time. I served for 4 years, and I had to leave that and come to US in 2011. So from 2007 to 2011, I was the vice president there. So we did a lot of things in YACM. So that was like, I had all the energy in me when I came to Minnesota. with a lot of ideas, lot of how to probably approach a school kid, right? What should we talk to them about music? How do you promote music into a lot of different people who doesn't know about Carnatic music, right? The I think the stopping point would be that they don't know about Carnatic music, so it's very much hesitant for them to connect, or to even think about it. So we were trying to do a lot of school events where we used to call it as Builder Rasika. Tell people they should look out in a concert, right? Simple as that. When they go to a concert, they should know what to do or what to look out for. Like, what's a song? I mean, what is a kriti? Who's the composer? How do you identify a composer? How do you identify a talam? So these kind of things. So a lot of ideas when I came to Minnesota. And when I came to Minnesota, it was like clueless. I have been to Minnesota twice earlier, 2009 and 10. But then 2011 is when I moved into Minnesota full time. I mean, as I got a work permit. I had to, come in through Wipro, my company, parent company, who brought me here. So a lot of things that was, I mean, I won't say questionable, but then I don't know, what was there in Minnesota, right? So the first person I knew, um, I have to thank him at this time, is Sashikaran, KN Sashikaran, who runs Karnataka and part of Karnataka Brothers. So he had a concert in SV Temple here. Back then it was in Golden Valley. I don't know if you guys remember that or know about it.
Yeah, yeah.
It used to be there in Golden Valley. And then I had the opportunity to listen to that concert, Karnataka Brothers concerts. I know that they were coming through, Facebook and sort of stuff. So I asked them, like, if I can come for the concert and all. So I went in. I met my old friend, Vinod Krishnan, who was my childhood buddy, and he moved to Atlanta recently, but I met him there. So that was a lot of confidence. And hey, I know one person here in this community. And other than that, I don't know anybody else, right? So Sashina introduced me to, so he said, don't worry, just come, I'll introduce you to people here. You can be there. So I think it was Buravu Budiana, if I'm correct. And then it was Vijaya Desigan from Milwaukee who
Yeah.
accompanied that
Mm.
concert. So after the concert, he introduced me to two important people in this community. One is Sriram Natarajan and the other one is Nirmala Rajshekar. So I didn't know about them until then, and he introduced me. And luckily, Sriram Natarajan, who runs Laisaram here, was working in Best Buy at that time. My client was also Best Buy. So we became, it was more interesting because we used to meet daily at, in the coffee place, think about music, talk about music. So it was like a lot of ventilation to me because, there's nothing else, having been involved in music for such a long time, and I didn't have anything to talk about after I came to Minnesota. So it was like, Kandla Katti Kaatla Utta Marindi. I didn't know anybody.
Right,
I
right,
didn't know
right.
what to do. So Sriram gave me a lot of support and hope for me to pursue what I want in terms of music. So we had a lot of discussions, good, bad, oh, this artist, have you listened to this person? And to listen to that person. So, and then what happened is I came in May, and then I think this happened probably June, July, I don't remember. And then there was another opportunity where I met Prasid's father, Balaji Chandran, when Sriram had to leave urgently to India for his personal reasons. And I was like asked to perform. I think I should not mention this in an interview, but I had to perform Ganjira. And Balaji Chandran was going to play Mridangam because he had been a lot of in the Arangetram space at that time for that particular Arangetram, and he knew what the Jati was. And back in India, I have not played much of dance, but I did, but for school shows and stuff like that, but not full time, or I didn't do major of it in dance. So I could cope up, but I didn't know, like, we didn't have the time. So Saturday was the concert. Thursday was when he had to leave. So he gave me a mridangam, or rather, I didn't have to do mridangam. He gave me a ganjira, and then I had to sit on the ganjira, and Balaji used to play the mridangam. So that's when I got introduced to Balaji Chandran, another wonderful artist here in Minnesota. So uh, this was the connect I had in the beginning when I came here, and then we all started talking more about music, and we became very good family friends, and we know each other, and then we support each other. And so that's how music evolved for me in Minnesota. And then Sriram also introduced me to a choir group, which was I don't remember the name, but it was more like a choir group that was done in Minnesota by Connix, a person from Ohio. So that's how I started in getting introduced into a lot of musical activities. And then you won't believe, as soon as I came in that year end, we started getting into television, which we had the Twin Cities private channel, TPT.
Yeah,
And
TPT.
So I got introduced to Anu Krishnan, I got introduced to Joy, who used to run a Bangladeshi band called Jantri. And so
Yeah.
and then Sriram, myself, and another person, Nanda Masti, and Balachandran, we played together a live vinyasam in that television series. So we had like a couple of shows in that. So that was more interesting for me. I also met another person um, who um, who did a album for indigenous people for his people in Cameroon. So I got a CD released. So so
Wow.
that's how it was in 2011 and 12. So it was like, you know, way too many things happening at different areas. You know, I got introduced to a fusion band, I got a CD recorded, I had a musical thing. So, and then I also started my first concert here in US was in Ohio. I think it's Cleveland. Hello, Columbus. And the first concert was in August 19th. I knew my friends. One of my friend was Vikram Raghavan, and his sister Vidya Raghavan was giving a concert back there. And then they knew me, so they said, you know, you get a bus and get on to Chicago, and then we'll take you to Ohio. So we drove there and played. So the concert opportunities started evolving like that. And then I played so Sriram introduced me to Leela Mami. Sriram introduced me to other musicians in this place at that time. And then we had the Aradhana. So I performed in the Aradhana. And I never knew that, you know, there will be so much of music in Minnesota. After I met a lot of people here, I started understanding that and realizing the value of it. Sorry, it was too
Yeah.
big, but
No.
No, no, it's totally
Amazing,
fine.
amazing. Yeah.
It's really nice.
Really nice perspective. And of course, you've played so many concerts here, and we've all enjoyed so many of them. So, talking more about concerts, the mridangam is more of an accompaniment role to a vocal artist or a main artist, as you said, as you mentioned earlier, that your guru was talking about that. So, can you tell me your approach as accompaniment or as a mridangam in a concert? Like, what route you like to take to assist the main, or to, to play with them or stuff like that?
so beginning stage, like I said, it used to be a template format. You know that you
Right.
kind of know the song, or maybe you don't know the song. It doesn't matter at that point. All you might be interested is the talam of it. Whether I will be able to play my template in that.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the first approach, and then I think after listening to concerts of yesteryear artists, stalwarts, I kind of started understanding what it would be to accompany it in a better way. Let me give you an example. Entero Mahanubhavulu, right? Everybody knows Entero Mahanubhavulu. There's a lot of way in which you can approach this piece, but when Palagat Manier approached this to me, in my opinion, when I was listening to the concerts, when I was listening to Palagat Manier and MD Ramanathan, MD Ramanathan is a very, very different artist,
Yeah.
and the liking for him is much more because he enjoys his concert to the core, right? He sings from within, and the way he so many people think that he sing very slow, right? It's a very, very slow approach to the raga and constructivity and all that, right? So but there are times when MDR has approached it in a very fast pace. For example, Kedar, like Bhajana Seyave Manasa, he has sung it like Bhajana Seyave oh man. So that was his speed. So he was a very eccentric person, in my opinion. So when he was first of all singing Antano Mahabhavlu for like 45 minutes, just the piece, not the raga, it's just the piece. I was like, what is this? How could be even people talk? Because I used to listen to Antano Mahabhavlu only in Pancharatnam, right? I never know that there was supposed to be like a concert format for Antano Mahabhavlu. So this was like, an eye opener to me. Like, how could he even do this, right? Then the next approach is, Palagat Manier. He has sung it like Bhajana Seyave. So that was his speed. So the way when he was first of all singing Entano Mahabhavlu for like 45 minutes, just the piece, not the raga, it's just the piece. I was like, what is this? How could he even do this? Right? Then the next approach is how is the mridangist able to play everything that this guy is thinking, right?
Right,
So
right,
uh, to have that gelling factor or to make it big, right? So, for example, like Tattum, Ketadaga, Dikitari, Ketadaga, it's a very, very simple phrase, probably part of Farans, part of our lessons. But when they play it at that speed, then it means it's a lot of, it's a lot of step up, right? And then I didn't know about that. I couldn't crack it. I mean, like it was like way too much for me. I mean, I'm very honest at that because I mean I could figure it out, but then I didn't know how to play it. Like, what should I do to get this? Should I practice more? Should I practice faster? Where is that you were going to get that understanding to make it more look like that, right? To big, right? So that's how then my idea of started changing towards how to approach a kriti. So that's how it was. I'm not saying that I was a genius and I was playing superb right from the beginning. So it was an evolvement. So that evolvement happened when we started listening to the exterior concerts and looking at the approach what they did on very, very subtle things, right? What they did, how they added a lot of value. When you listen to KVN singing an Adadala Varnam, right? And then how Mani Air has approached it. Or, say GNB and Pioneer, right?
mm,
The way they combine, um, things. It's like Swaminatha Paripalana. Like where did they even
right,
think about those things? It's a
right,
lot
right,
of dimension that you get when you listen to those concepts. So that's when I started, understanding. And then I used to record my concert. So
mm,
even I got the opportunity to buy a recorder and all that. I started recording the concert and I used to listen it back and see where I can probably do better, right? I'll be like, hey, I was so dull at this point, I should have probably done a little more to increase the gravity of the concept. I fumbled in making mistakes, like I did a wrong calculation, this should have been this way, right? And sometimes I was like not keeping up to the level of what the artists were singing and things like that. If it was good, then I feel happy also. So it was everything put together. So I used to listen to my recording and see what I can do better, because I had the computer at that time and I had the recording feature at that time, and that was big back then when we used to have dial-up connections to download the concerts.
yeah, right, right,
And the time when you can actually listen to your record, because getting a recorder and connecting to your computer and getting your own recording is like big.
right, right, right,
So that's how I started, trying to improvise on what I should have done, what could have been done better. And then I attended a lot of Namasankirtanams, which used to give me a lot of practice times. I call it practice, but then the real effect is how could you build your stamina by playing so consistently? You are
right,
given a
right,
very short span of time to give your talent, right? If they will sing things in like small phrases, and you'll have to adjust to it or fill on to it. And I used to play to my competitions. Most of them were bhajan competitions back in school, so I kind of know what bhajan formats were, but I didn't know how that approach was taken, right? How do you approach it? Sitting for hours together. So how do you improve it, and how do you not play the same thing again and again, right? If you
right,
play
right,
again and again, it looks odd. I mean, or you should make it in such a way that it should not look odd. So
Mhm.
points taken from that too. And then I started developing certain style of playing, and yeah, after probably 2010, right? For the past 10 years, my approach to it has been very different. I had a lot of time to make it look better, to make it more challenging, to make it more visible to the audience, and make it more approachable to the concept. The idea what we used to have, and one of my friend, junior not junior he's now Balamuli Krishna, Kunakudi Balamuli Krishna. So he used to
Yeah.
tell me that concert format has to be in a way that every other artist should be able to um, appreciate each other and make the concert successful. So it's the entire team that is going to get presented. There's no point in saying that the mridangist was great today, or the musician, the vocalist was great today, or the violin was great today. No point in that. as a team, how do we make it better? So a lot of things started working on, how you make friends, and then as you keep practicing at home with your friends, the lot of jamming sessions, as they call it these days, it helps us to understand their wavelength. So one of my childhood buddies is Rahul, who plays the violin today as a main profession, and he used to come home a lot of times, so we used to practice together. So I knew how Rahul would think of approaching a concert, or approaching a kriti, or approaching a Neravel, right? So that idea comes into you so much that you get evolved or get used to it. And I believe in this, like, nothing comes extempore for you in a concert just like that, right? It's not a spark that, it's not a lighting in your head and then you present it. It's basically, you have thousands of ideas that you practice a lot of times, and then in your basket of choices, you have the first 10 or the best 10 coming out during the concert. So it's all, evolved within you, like, and then what comes out at that time could be the choice that you have to take during the concert. So that's how I look at it. So, and then, so I started getting my basket bigger and bigger by having a lot of approaches to that concert, a lot of approaches to the kriti. So coming back to Ethirajan, what I play now and what I used to play 10 years 10 years ago was totally different. So that's how you should approach a concert. Make it more closer to the artist. Make sure you have to understand that you're the accompanist, you are not the main guy. So there's no point in trying to prove yourself at that point in stage. What you need to do is make sure that the main artist is able to present what he wants to do in the best way. So you have to lift up the concert. Your role is to make sure that you're lifting up the concert. And I think that idea takes you to different dimension of approaching the concert and approaching the people and all of that.
Yeah, that's a really wonderful insight, especially for like those that are initially beginning into concerts, like stepping into that concert world. And like just for Mridangam itself, like for the percussion side at least, it's a really nice insight.
Yep.
It's really nice. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Now, you mentioned a bunch of artists when you were talking about approaching concerts. So, like in your leisure time and as a child, who did you like to listen to, mridangam and vocal? Like who did you like always go to when you were stressed, whether you just wanted to have relaxing time? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Did you mean a live concert, or are you talking about concert in general?
Just in general.
Yeah, just in general.
Oh, okay. So a lot of artists express a lot of different moods in what they try to sing. Like, if you look at Ethi, I don't know if you know the person.
Yeah.
He is a very, very different person. If you look at Tanjore Kalyanaraman, he is a different person. Like, when I meant to say different person, the way they approach the concert, the way they approach the kriti, and then the choices of songs, and the nature in which they sing, and the nature of aggression that they show in their brihas and stuff like that, it's very, very extremely different. And I think that's what makes them an individual artist, and it's not like a copycat. You don't feel that KVN is equivalent to Kalyanaraman, right? It's a totally different, even though it's classical Carnatic music and all that. There's a lot of way in which they approach the kritis, and the way the approach for the concert itself. If you look at TMT, TM Tyagarajan, he's a very different person altogether. I have not seen him making complex, geometric progression and stuff like that. It's very much Sarvalagu, but it's very, very difficult to play. There are a lot of anecdotes people have told me about TM Tyagarajan. Right? So what I was trying to say is, if I'm happy, I try to listen to all of the brothers. If I need more depth, I might probably listen to MDR. If I need something refreshing, I try to listen to GNB. So there's a lot of and then Paini. So Paini sir and Palagat Manier and Raghu sir, and a lot of mridangists who had made their mark, who had been so much of inspirations to a lot of people. Very different approaches of what they do in concerts and stuff like that. So I would like to recollect what Balaji used to say me, Prasid, that Paini sir and Manier sir's playings are two different kinds of love, right? It's love versus romance. That's what he calls it. So there's a lot of understanding and depth when you look at each person's personality. It shows their personality. So yes, I do have a lot of choices when it comes to my different listening times. And yeah, I used to listen to MDR when I was in 12th grade, and I think I did well in my 12th grade. So you kind of understand,
Yeah, yeah,
the it's picky, but it is a lot of choices, and everyone represents their own their emotions. Ramnath Krishnan, for example, an amazing artist whom I don't know if many people know about him, like, but then he was like, his approach to it was like extremely beautiful. I mean, him and Palagat Raghu sir is like a great combo. I will listen to it anytime, any day.
yeah, right.
If you're driving, then have different choices. When you're coming
Yeah.
back from work, if you are at work, you want to focus, Sesha Gopalan sir, things like that.
Right.
Mm.
Wow, Uncle, that was really amazing. It really gave the sense of like the Pudukkottai school of playing, and it was really nice to listen to.
Thank you.
Thank thank you so much. So now this is a big question to ask. So what made you choose to pursue Carnatic music? Like what gave you that drive to just say yes, that is what I want. I want Carnatic music.
I think it's the time and effort that I've put into music, I feel. Because to get that concert opportunities in that age and with a lot number of concerts, right? It was it was so much that I started, liking it more. And when compared, like for example, if I had to go for a movie or listen to a concert, I would listen to a concert back at home, or I would go to a concert rather than going to a theater. So that's how it was to me. Once I started realizing the value of music that I'm playing and the value of music it had from the people who are performing music. So I think I realized that it was so much, and what I was doing. So many times, I don't know, it might be something that you guys also would almost see it in you. Like when you listen to a concert, when you listen to a Tanyardanam, they play it, with so much of, diction and authenticity, that you always feel like, what have I done? I mean, am I playing the right thing? Should we continue playing Mridangam? Like, these questions come to
Mm,
you because it is so rich and there is so much of involvement in them. And if you look at a lot of artists, they have just done music as music. They have not looked at it in terms of a monetary benefit from them, right? It's a lot of passion that they have shown. And I think that's what I learned from what music they gave me. And that's when I started realizing that I should continue with this. I began with a lot of attraction thing, like I mentioned in the beginning. It was fun, but then more than that, I think it was a lot of listening to music and meeting with a lot of musicians, and then they tell me a lot about the other musicians and fellow musicians, how they struggled, or what kind of music they have achieved, or how big is this music and stuff like that. When you start listening to those, it gives a lot of value to you. um, just like you learning about your religion and thinking a lot about religion, I think this is more religious to me, and that's why I keep continuing in getting into music. After coming to US, I started playing for dance. I've always been played for Namasankirtanam and all that. So it gives me a lot of different dimensions as well. I try to collaborate with few people and do it. So there is a lot of opportunities for me to explore music as well. When my wife came in, there was a lot of addition to it as well, because she was looking music from a different perspective. So, if you listen to cinema music, what she likes and would be more like what a common man would understand. So either I'll have to understand to that, adapt to it, or or look at it from a different perspective, what music is. So everything gives me a lot of new dimension to think. It always energizes me. So I would like to definitely continue pursuing music forever. I wouldn't stop.
Amazing, amazing.
great.
Well, we'd like to take this time to thank you so much, Anna, for coming on the show and giving us your perspective on music and telling these wonderful stories. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
We'd
And
like to, yeah,
Mhm. So what
please
I
go ahead.
wanted to tell kids, who are coming here, who
Yeah,
have been
like,
grown up here, practice more, listen to a lot of music, and then get an idea of what you're doing in music. I mean, it might be very difficult or big at this point in time, but get any opportunity, just go and play. Be it,
yeah,
vocal or mridangam, whatever. Keep playing more. The more and more you do it, I think the more and more it'll come to you. So it's like, நீ எவ்வளவுக்கு எவ்வளோ வித்தைக்காக நீ உழைக்கிறியோ அத்தனைக்கு அத்தனை வித்தனை உனக்கு வரும். It will come to you.
Mm,
The music will come to you when you love music. The music will love you. So
yeah.
do
what a
that.
great way to
Well,
end it.
yes, yes, awesome. Well, you guys hear it. Please continue to practice music, continue to pursue music, continue to listen to music, because music is such a wonderful thing. and it makes a lot of people happy. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Ethirajan. Thank you for your time. Thank you everybody for listening, and please go subscribe and like subscribe and like the video, and go check out our social links in the description. Thank you so much for listening.
This
Thank
is
you, everyone.
Yemen Bros
Namaskaram.
signing off.